Hi, I'm Terry Ladd with Pink Iguana Analog Services, the lead safety program, and today we're going to talk about respirator fit tests. Respirator fit test is required anytime a respirator is given to an employee. If you're expecting one of your employees to be wearing a respirator, he needs to have a fit test before he puts it on. Before he has a fit test, he's got to have something called a pulmonary function test. Pulmonary function test makes sure that he doesn't have any breathing problems or issues that might cause problems, medical problems, if you were to put a respirator on him. The pulmonary function test is not as invasive as it sounds. There's a couple of websites where they will do a medical screening, and if no risk factors are indicated, they will give the medical okay to go ahead with a respiratory fit test. The specific websites, their locations, prices, all that sort of stuff is included with the plan, but we're not going to talk about all of that right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through what's involved in performing a respirator fit test. I'm going to invite one of my employees, Joe, to come in here in a minute, and we're going to walk through the steps to make sure that the respirator, his new respirator, fits him properly and that he's comfortable wearing it. So with that, let's bring in Joe. You ready for this, Joe?
Yep.
Okay, good. Joe turned in his previous respirator. You're not allowed to have more than one respirator at a time. His old respirator was cracked and was beginning to fray. So it's time for Joe to get a new one. I've gone ahead and taken it out of the bag already, and Joe's going to put it on. One thing you need to watch for is make sure that there's not a lot of facial hair that would get in the way of a nice seal around the mouth and underneath the chin. For men that have a beard, a lot of times they need to shave it or be clean shaven. Joe's got a little facial hair, but it's not anything that goes underneath his chin and going to obstruct or mess up the seal. So he's adjusting the straps to make sure the neck straps and the head straps, that it fits correctly. And at this point he's going to perform two tests. They're called the negative pressure test and the positive pressure test. Negative pressure test is over the areas where the filters are going to be attached, and just going to put his hands there to block the air and then suck in. He should not be able to suck air into the mask. Did you suck in any air there? Oh, good. Okay. So that's the negative pressure check. That means that for that test, for that portion of it, of the fit test, the seal is correct. The next one is the positive pressure test, and Joe's going to put his hand over the exhalation port underneath and blow out, and no leaks. It's okay if he blew real hard and we hear it burping, but what we don't want to hear is when he blows out a tss, that the air is coming out slowly. That would indicate that he doesn't have a good seal. So at this point, it seems like he's got a good fit, but we're not really sure whether it's going to work correctly or not. So now's when we get into the real fit test portion of it. Joe, go ahead and take that off. Notice Joe takes it off from the top down and pulls it away from his face, which is the correct way to remove a respirator. I see employees from companies, from other companies, my company, they never make this mistake, but other companies make this mistake all the time. They lift off the neckband and pull the mask up over their head. And if there's any dust or dirt or anything, any contaminants on that mask, as they lift it up, it falls down in their face. The right way is to lift it down over the face and then undo it and lift it away from the face. So now we're into the fit testing portion. The way this works is we are going to spray a little bit of sugar water onto Joe's mouth, into his tongue, and make sure that he can sense it. Once he can sense or taste the sweetness, then we're going to put the respirator on him, put the filter on him, put the filters on the respirator, put the respirator on Joe, and then we're going to squirt some of this sweet mist into his face again, and he should not be able to sense it then. So that's the process. If he gets through this, is able to test it without the respirator, and is not able to taste it with the respirator, then we know that the respirator is functioning as it should. So let's start by putting the hood on. This hood is a standard hood from a respirator fit test kit. we have what's called an atomizer. The atomizer, this screws off. This is where we put a little bit of the sweet sensitivity solution. We put a couple of drops in here. Screw this back on. Open up the covers. The hood has a hole right here where this fits in correctly. Open your mouth, stick out your tongue, and that should have atomized a little bit in there. Do you taste it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes sweet?
Yeah.
Tastes sour?
No, sweet.
Sweet. Okay, good. So now we know that Joe is sensitive to the solution that's being used. You can take that off now. We're going to put the filters onto the respirator. These are the filters that came with the respirator. These filters are the ones that are appropriate for when paint or coatings are being sprayed. They're not necessarily lead filters, but they are filters. Go ahead and put that back on. Again, notice that Joe's putting the neck straps on first and then lifting it up onto his face. That's the correct way to put that on. How's it feel?
Good.
Good. So let's put this back on. Now we need to use the other atomizer. And use the fit test solution. The first one was the sensitivity solution. This is the fit test solution. So we put a couple of drops of that into the atomizer. Try not to spill it. Screw the top of the atomizer back on. Open up the covers. Again, we put it into this hole. Squirt a couple times. Joe, do you sense it? Taste it at all? You sure? If you taste it, I need to know.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't taste it. Good. You want to make sure that your employees understand it's important that they tell you the truth with this. Because if Joe did sense it, and he's telling me what he thinks I want to hear, then he would be exposing himself to lead dust and other particles when he's out in the field with the respirator on. So at this point, Joe passes his respirator fit test. You can take the hood off. You can take the mask off. With the respirator fit test, there is paperwork that needs to be filled out, a respirator fit test record. The other piece that needs to happen is Joe needs to get a new wallet card. The wallet card is going to have the information about the respirator written on it, and Joe needs to keep this in his wallet anytime he's working on one of my job sites. If OSHA shows up, they're going to want to make sure that the wallet card and the respirator match each other. The company policy should be that all employees are only allowed one respirator on a job site. That means not having a backup respirator in the trunk of the car, having one in one of the job boxes. There should only be one respirator per employee, and that respirator should match the wallet card that was given to the employee when the fit test was completed. So that's how we do a fit test from beginning to end, and why we do it, some of the things to look out for. And next we're going to be talking about air quality monitoring.